to this module on processing evidence and synthesizing findings. So it's a pretty short module, but really just wanted to talk to you about all of this stuff that you now get back from your exploration, research, discovery phase. So remember that you would effectively have captured a large amount of data points or observations. I think I do mention it later on as well, but in essence, for every interview that you have with someone, you should expect to extract anything from 50 to 80 observations, and each observation is one post-it note, and then to go through a process of synthesizing those types of things. But really what we're trying to do here is to create atomic versions of each of your observations, in which we refer to these as data points. And this is all of your raw stuff, your notes, your recordings, your pestle analysis. This is it. Just throw it all onto this great wall of evidence that you're going to keep, maintain, and age with your projects. Okay. The point is to use the visual nature for you to effectively, extract insights, draw a whole bunch of connections and comparisons, those types of things. Okay. So remember, you've got your raw stuff, you've got semi-processed stuff, which is normally in templates and that type of stuff, and that's really what you're looking to create some type of visualization. So you may already have personas, you may find previous work done, you may already have empathy maps. All of that goes on to your wall, wall to floor butcher paper, and then you can start moving stuff around. So then also consider, what is it that we must do for each of the bits of data that we get? So if I look at a diary log from, somebody that are traveling on a train, so when you're in the discovery phase, you went through a diary log and you were asked to put that into an empathy map. Well, what do we do with this? Do we put it into empathy map? Do we put it into journey map? What is it that we're actually looking for? So for each bit of this data, you must consider, well, what must we do with this data? So in this case, we're going to translate this diary log into a journey map. We're going to look for key quotes and phrases, and we're also going to see if we can extract some key insights. There's also a bunch of the human factor stuff. So let's have a look at the motivations that we might be able to pull out of that. They might be able to understand different perspectives, whether they're happy or sad, angry. What might the pains and gains be as you're interacting with them, and that we're going to sort of take out and we're going to drop into a persona. So this is the list of stuff that you would have got together: audio recordings, love letters, interview notes, artifact analysis, all of this stuff and more you would collect and put onto your wall of wisdom, we refer to it. And now that you're looking at it, you want to really start trying to unpack it. And we've really got sort of 3 levels that we can work with. So one is the analysis space, and that's really just looking at it all and trying to create the atomic bits of information, or let's rather refer to that as data for now. So we're looking for atomic bits of data, and we're looking for assumptions that we can bust, and we're also looking for some level of prioritization. So you tend to work through that 50 to 80 data points and get that down to something, cluster them into smaller amounts and summarize them as an atomic unit or something to that extent. Then you're going to be looking at it and you're going to be saying, oh, what's really going on? And often that's the part I enjoy, especially later on when I get to things like 2x2s, is you kind of take a step back and you say, well, okay, what is this thing telling me? And you kind of look at it back and see, well, there's some interesting things that we can get from this information. And, insight gathering doesn't occur at the end of this, it's continual. So you're taking a step back and you're looking for contradictions, you're looking for connections, you're looking for anything that you can actually kind of extract some interesting insights with. Possibly not necessarily understanding those yet, but you're just interpreting the data for insights. Okay. And then what we do when we do the synthesis is we now put stuff together. Okay, so this is how do we relate? How can we bolt these two together? How can we cluster them? How can we produce an affinity map? Test possibilities. All right. So really, in synthesizing findings, what we want to be able to do is combine the stuff that we've extracted into new pieces of, let's call it now, information. So we take the data and we cluster it in different ways. You can put it in your AIOU framework, which is a standard categorization framework, but you can also just use affinity mapping to create those themes. All right. Good to get a whole variety of different people involved so that you can ensure you get those different perspectives in. All right. Now, also when you're looking at this data, there's this concept of integrative thinking and different styles of thinking and problem solving. So it's probably worth a while just to have a quick chat about things like abduction, deduction, induction, what these things mean. In other words, they're really how we create meaning from something, or how we derive a conclusion. So let's look at something like a deduction, which is, I probably should have drawn this for you, but anyway, a deduction is really where we have a rule or a heuristic, and then based upon that rule, we apply it to a case and we get a result. So the rule says, well, if my price increases, sales will decrease. And so we apply it to a case, something that's happening in our business. Okay, we've launched product A at a higher price, and then we get a result from that, which is product A's sales will be low. Okay, this is normally the standard level of deduction, so we're deducing something. The other one is induction, which is actually quite the opposite of deduction. This is where we observe the case and we summarize the result and we extract a rule. Okay, so let's look at the same example. The case is we increase price for product A, and that gives us a result. The result is that our sales declined. Now from that we can actually extract a rule, and that rule says sales decline when price is too high. All right, so that's induction. And then finally there's abduction. And what abduction does is, this is almost a hypothesis-based approach. It looks at the result first and then forms a rule from that result, and then checks the cases against that to see if they all conform to this rule. So let's start with the hypothesis. Sorry, I start with the result. All right, so sales have gone down. So we then have a rule. In this case, it's a hypothesis. So well, sales go down when the price is high, and then we check certain cases of that to prove that rule. All right, so well, we need to go and check if the price is too high for product A. Okay, so these are the different types of techniques, or even levels of thinking that we use to derive a conclusion about something. And you'd want to get in the habit of using these as your lenses as you begin to look at this data and start to extract further insight. Okay, so there's lots of material available that you can also go and read more on these. How do we derive these conclusions? There's actually a book that I'll refer to later when we do insights, specifically around sharpening your abductive reasoning parts of your brain. So, all right, that's some synthesizing and gathering your data points. I'll see you in the next module. Thanks.